Some time ago, before the start of this channel, I made an LED clock for our living room. However, there's a few things I'd like to improve about it, so I'm going to design and build a replacement. Let's get started.
This is actually the third revision of the clock. The first revision was this 7-segment LED display, and it was quite limited, so was soon replaced with the LED pixel array. Version 2, as we now have in the living room, has been very prototypical and has been changed quite a bit since we originally put it up, but pretty much stayed into its hackery roots. So this is the same as the large clock in the living room, just compacted. And this was to be a prototype or a experimental programming version of the clock. And here's the CAD for the full-size one that currently resides in the living room. The new one will be a bit more sophisticated than this. This is just really quite simplistic. So what can the clock actually do? Well, obviously it can tell the time. We've also got the ability to change the colour of the numbers. All of the LEDs are RGB, so we can set those to whatever colour we want to. We're also able to display 8-bit style graphics, a small animation every half hour. We can also display the temperature. And should we want to, some scrolling text.
So one of the things I want to fix in the rebuild is this diffuser. So this diffuser is a small, thin piece of HDPE laid on top of a 3D printed frame, but it doesn't sit flush, so you get this kind of blooming effect out of the edges of the dots. I think with some 3D printing magic we can actually get that fixed. So one of the features that will actually get removed from the rebuild is this infrared sensor for use with this remote. Now it's used to change settings, things like color schemes on the clock. However, it doesn't work particularly well. It's quite imprecise and sometimes it just doesn't work at all. So I think we can come up with a better solution for that. So then behind the scenes, there's also all of this cable spaghetti. Now this is because the thing is quite prototypical, but we'll make this a lot better and actually put proper casing and proper routing in for the new one.
Another improvement I want to make to Mark III is the resolution of the display. So at the moment, the display is 20 pixels by 8 pixels, but we're going to double that to 40 by 16. This will allow better quality text, but to be fair, it's all about Mario. That gives us some goals for version 3 of the clock. We want to increase the resolution, so double the current clock to 40 by 16. We want to improve the diffuser, so each of the LED pixels has a better definition. We want to remove the infrared and replace it with Wi-Fi. And we want to fix that spaghetti of cables that's behind everything. As there's quite a to-do list to get this project finished, we'll split it into multiple parts. So the next part will focus on the design of the new clock. So let's take you through the design as it is so far. This is going to probably change as we continue to construct the clock, but for now this is the design as working. So first of all, the LED panels are divided into 8 by 8 pixels. This is to make it easier for us to print them so that we can actually fit them on the print bed, because not everybody has a print bed that's nearly 650 millimeters wide to be able to print the whole thing in one go. So we divide these into panels. This will allow us to print them much easier. So if I remove the front panel, we end up with this little printed grid in the back. Now the intention of this is that each of the LED strips will run down these channels, and these channels are the right size for the strips, and it also allows us to get the correct spacing as well. One of the things that was a problem with assembling clock number 2 was that the strips were not aligned to anything. So you had the grid that fitted on the front of it, but there wasn't necessarily anything to stop them from moving horizontally. So these will make sure that all the pixels are aligned in exactly the right places. If we take the cover off the top, then we now have these semicircle pieces that will route the cables around. This is they're all consistent lengths and sizes, and makes it much easier for soldering then, because everything is a consistent size, goes down in consistent dimensions, and we haven't got to worry about the cable routing quite as much. Speaking of the cable routing, each of these different panels has actually got a hole in the back of the panel, which will route through to a channel on the back. And if I remove the channel on the back, you can see that we have this kind of slot, and this slot goes through a tunnel into the back panel. So if I remove the back panel, so this is where the electronics will be housed, there's a placeholder PCB in there as well. I'll go over the electronics in more depth and the PCB design in a different video, but for now the channel can go through and place all the cables towards the back, so we've got them all clean and consistent and tidy and nothing hanging out. And then finally, the only other part of the design of note is these French cleats. So the original V2 of the clock had French cleats that attached the clock to the wall. So these are just in the same positions as they were on the previous clock to allow this to slot into the exact same place. The clock is a little bit shallower than the Mark II, so it's by about 10 millimeters this way. So it will sit to the wall a little bit closer than the previous version did, but it's not going to be much in it, to be fair. So the only other thing is, why is it green? That's purely a choice to make it easier for me to model. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever that it's going to be printed in green. It's behind the clock. I could print it in basically anything that I've got to hand. I will probably print it in one color just to be a bit neater. Display component color, so I could have done it that way. It was just so that I had something aesthetic to show in the video, essentially, so that it would show something a little bit nicer when showed for display. After that, we'll 3D print all the parts. We'll go through assembly and test, and any of the programming to finalize getting the clock working. That's all for this video. If you like this sort of content, please do let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video. If you want to see more of this sort of content, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support my endeavours, then please buy me a coffee. Link in the description below. That's everything for this video. Thanks for watching.